This is Michael Popok for the new Legal AF YouTube channel, right on cue. Just 2 days after his arraignment on the unsealing of his indictment, Mayor Adams and his lawyer, Alex Spiro, have filed a motion to dismiss the indictment. Alex Spiro in a fiery press conference, and I kind of know of Alex Spiro. I had a case against him in my prior life. Alex Spiro attacking the prosecutors, saying that they are know-nothing, book smart only, don't know the real world where mayors and congressmen and other famous people get upgraded on flights and get better restaurants and get an extra appetizer. That's what Alex Spiro wants the world to think that the indictment against Mayor Adams and two other people is all about. It's just about Mayor Adams getting the largesse and the benefit of being a mayor swagger. Mayor Swaggy, who goes every night out to clubs like Gold Bond with sketchy friends of his that own these clubs. And you know what? It's not a crime to be a flaunting peacock of an idiot, which Mayor Adams apparently has become. I'd feel differently if the crime rate was substantially down in the city of New York. My office is here in New York, as you can see, in Murray Hill. I just walked over here. I walked through some things that would indicate that the city's not doing that well 4 years after COVID. So I'm not going to begrudge a person a lifestyle choice unless he's taken bribes. And the indictment says, and yes, you're innocent until proven guilty, that there was a quid pro quo. There was an exchange, a transaction between Mayor Adams and the Turkish consulate, for instance, and other governments. And it wasn't just about, you're doing a fine job, Mayor Swagger. Come right this way to a lie flat seat on Turkish Airlines. Come right this way to the Bentley suite. Literally, a suite that is branded by the Bentley Rolls-Royce type company, with pull-out matching champagne drawers inside of a beautiful stitched leather Bentley couch inside of the suite that normally goes for $10,000, and he only paid, I don't know, $300 for it, like he was staying at a Days Inn or a Red Roof Inn. What's the quid pro quo? Well, it's in the indictment. And the indictment says that in return for that, he did certain things, both starting when he was Brooklyn borough president, and then when he was the mayor of New York, which effectively is the leader of the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world. What did he do in particular? They were having some problems over at the Turkish consulate, a brand new building. I have dealt with some problems with buildings, with the New York Department of Buildings, the DOB. It's a problem. You got to make some phone calls. You got to hire some lawyers that know the fire marshal and some other people. You got to get things happening, not bribery. Just, some phone calls and some lobbying, good old-fashioned shoe leather lobbying, and then maybe you get your building approved like that. But not Mayor Adams. Apparently, according to the indictment, he made some phone calls, and he had some people in his administration make some phone calls and threaten the fire marshal and people that worked under him to approve an unsafe building and let it get its certificate of occupancy because the president of Turkey was on their way. And the people that had been paying off at Mayor Adams didn't want to be embarrassed, and Mayor Adams wanted to do them a solid. And what I'm describing is a federal bribery, public corruption type crime. And similarly, the Turkish people, not the Turkish people, the Turkish government representatives didn't want Mayor Adams to embarrass them by taking a position about the Armenian genocide and the memorialization and commemoration of that most cities do these days, and had him stand silent. So he was bound and gagged. So he made policy decisions in return for money. Now, I get what Alex Spiro, I used to call him Spiro, what Alex Spiro, the lawyer for Mayor Adams, is trying to do, filing 2 days after the indictment, a 25-page brief. He's trying to change the weather in the room, right? He thinks that the prosecutors laying out their case have polluted potentially future jurors. And since Mayor Adams has said publicly, I'm not resigning, to which I say, the governor can remove you, as can the Committee of Inability. See, that sounds like a Monty Python sketch. The Committee of Inability. Well, or Incapacity, I think it's called. The Committee of Incapacity sounds like a made-up thing, but it's in the New York Charter. It allows 5 defined people high up in government to meet and say, yeah, that guy can't be the governor anymore. You're out. And then replace him with what would be the public advocate in this city, subject to a special election. He's going to go down. He's going to be removed. But I give Spiro, I'm a defense lawyer by training and at heart, And Spiro's trying to change the public perception, change the weather in the room. So he said, and I don't disagree with him, that there was a big bombshell decision among many bombshell decisions from the United States Supreme Court just this past year in April called Schneider versus the United States. And that was in April of 2024. It got little coverage. I think we might have touched on it on Legal AF, the podcast. But in that one, it said that if there are gifts and if there are actions, but they're not connected, there's no quid pro quo, there's no quid and pro, I'm sure I got that wrong. There is no crime under the statute, the same statute being used against Eric Adams. Now, I would do what Spiro's doing. I would use the new Schneider decision and say they just dismissed this case after 10 years against the mayor of Portage, Indiana, who got a $13,000, I would have said bribe, gift after a large garbage company got a huge $1 million contract. And they rewarded the mayor. Thank you, mayor. Here's your $13,000. And the Supreme Court looked at it and said, yeah, there was a gift. And there was an action or an approval. But they're not really linked. And you can't show he was motivated, i.e. no public corruption, by the $13,000. Or that there was a promise to pay the $13,000 if the $1 million contract was awarded. And so, but that's not quite apples and orange. That's more like apples and bowling balls. That's more like bullfrogs and bowling balls in comparing these two things for what Adams is charged with. And so, but let me read to you from, because I have it. Let me read to you from the 30-page motion to dismiss the indictment already filed by Mayor Adams. And I give him a lot of credit. I've drafted briefs this long overnight. I think it's a very well done brief, very well argued. I don't agree with it. I think it's a loser. And Judge Ho, H-O, is going to deny it. But after full briefing, here's what it says in the preliminary statement. They're trying to grab the headlines back, which is what Mayor Adams is trying to do as he fights for his political survival. Remember, here on Legal AF, we're sitting at that intersection of law and politics. And while I'm about a third of the way through the hot take, go out and free subscribe. We need the help. We're building this network, Legal AF MTN, this channel, with our bare hands, along with our brothers and others over on the Midas Touch network. We're collaborating with them. I'm curating the channel. And if you go out and hit that oval subscribe button, you'll help us continue to bring you this type of content. But I digress, but for a good purpose. Here's the preliminary statement, which is supposed to tell you all you need to know about the argument being raised. The indictment in this case alleges a bribery scheme that does not meet the definition of bribery and indeed does not amount to a federal crime at all. Bold, punchy. I like that in the beginning. I tell my lawyers, write kind of this way. Just 3 months ago, the Supreme Court, this is the case I just told you about, Schneider, rebuked the Justice Department for adopting an unfathomable interpretation of the federal program bribery statute, which is the same statute being used here against Mayor Adams. 18 United States Code 666 of all things, Section 666. The court went on. They say the court went on in that case, in the Schneider case, the Supreme Court, to say that their interpretation would leave state and local officials entirely at sea to guess what gifts they are allowed to accept under federal law, with the threat of up to 10 years in federal prison if they happen to guess wrong. As that court admonished prosecutors then, that is not how federal criminal law is supposed to work. Yet here goes the department again, says the new motion on behalf of Mayor Adams. It appears that after years of casting about for something, anything, to support a federal charge against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, they settled on a theory that 666 criminalizes gratuities, including gifts meant to curry favor with governmental officials, but not linked to any specific question or matter. But the Supreme Court rejected that. The indictment does not allege that Mayor Adams agreed to perform any official act at the time that he received the benefit. I'm not sure that's exactly, I think that's a total rewrite of the indictment, Alex, if I could be so bold. There is direct links between him and the fire department commissioner in which he wanted him to do it under threat of losing his job. Now they go on for pages and pages and say, effectively, everybody in that world gets an upgrade. They get bottle service in a club, because this mayor is known for models and bottles. Let's just put it that way. They get upgrades on planes that the average person don't get. They get the extra appetizer. They get the Dom Perignon sent to the over to their table. And, boo-hoo, that doesn't make a crime. That's sort of their argument. And so they want the whole indictment dismissed. Now, what's going to happen next in front of Judge Ho? The government is going to have a period of time in about 2 weeks to file their opposing brief. This brief's going to have one more shot at it, and then the indictment's not going to get dismissed. Not at this stage. An indictment that came out of a grand jury out of 20 or so people found that there was more likely than not that Mayor Adams violated the law of public corruption. Now, it may not survive later on, and they may be successful in getting the case dismissed in front of a jury. I mean, I have been involved with a case with Alex Spiro, where I thought he did a masterful job in the District of Connecticut against a former trader, trader, on Wall Street, who they charged with a certain type of fraud. And he was able to convince a jury in Connecticut that no fraud was committed. I appreciated the hard work and legal work. I mean, I'm a trial lawyer. Been doing it for 32 years. I can tip my hat at good lawyering. And Spiro's aggressive. I think it's a good choice probably for Mayor Adams because he kind of needs that to cut through all of the chatter that's been generated against him. I've laughed and said this on prior legal AFs and on hot takes that if this is an example of the Department of Justice being weaponized, they didn't get the memo. They're doing a terrible job because all they've done over the last year is go after Democrats. You know, Donald Trump should be pleased. He should be thrilled that they're not targeting him. They only target him for the crimes that he's alleged to commit, not anything else. Hunter Biden indicted twice under this administration. Mayor Adams, powerful Democratic mayor of New York, indicted. First time a sitting New York mayor ever indicted in its history. The people going after Donald Trump's campaign, Iranian hackers, indicted. People trying to shoot at Donald Trump, the ones that lived, indicted. Who's turning a blind eye towards things that are crimes in this country? Not Biden and Merrick Garland's Department of Justice. But I'm going to continue to bring you updates. I think it's a fascinating case. It sort of sits at that intersection of true crime, law, and politics here on the Legal AF MTN channel. This is what we're doing. We're doing deep dives, molecular dives, bringing you commentary and analysis at the intersection of law and politics that already 40 million people a month know and have come to expect from this brand, Legal AF, right? I'm the keeper of the flame. I'm the curator of the channel. And I'm going to be bringing you my own commentary and deeper, longer commentary, but right here, in a way that everybody understands, whether you're a lawyer, non-lawyer, wannabe lawyer, hate lawyers, whatever it is. I hope you're going to come away more educated, more stimulated, more activated after listening to a hot take or an analysis here. We're going to be doing interviews that you can only find on this Legal AF MTN channel. A new show exclusive to Legal AF MTN called Unprecedented. About what else? The United States Supreme Court. We're going to be opening that up this week. We're going to have a rotating group of commentators you've come to respect. They're coming over from the Midas universe. It's like the Marvel universe, except these superheroes don't wear a cape. And new voices that you haven't heard from yet. Right here, only one place, Legal AF MTN. Now's your chance. Free subscribe. So until my next hot take or my next Legal AF MTN exclusive content, this is Michael Popok reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.